I don't want to be like everybody else. Everybody else is, compliance can be very cut and dry. And, I like to blend in business with mission and purpose, and having a space where you can, compliance, doing the regulatory work, but then at the same time, having a space where you can create. I'm an entrepreneur as well. So you always have to have that, that cut and dry aspect of compliance with the innovative side of you're creating your, your platform, your services, everything, so forth. So the mission that I created when I first started was serving the investment community to make a social impact. So I do one to do the other. So for the last probably almost 15 years, I've been doing, I do a lot of mentoring. I do a lot of volunteering. I've volunteered around the world with programs in South Korea. I just got back from Peru in February. I've been to India, I've done a program in China, done several programs in California. So I've been all over the place, in South Africa as well. So I've been all over the place, not only conducting the business, but also giving back, in various ways, such as teach English programs. The Peru one was actually teaching in Spanish. My Spanish is not too great, but it was good learning, So then also business coaching as well. So one of the things I do with everything that I work on in the compliance space is I do business support groups for new or entrepreneurs who are interested in starting their business, or they're having certain challenges. So that's the way that I give back, and it's more of like the creative side of what I do, just because it's not, compliance could be very, one side of your brain is working and it's cut and dry, which I love and appreciate that. But then there's also the creative side of myself as well. So this is just a way to stand out and be different, and make sure that you're always focused on doing things that you enjoy, which I enjoy both. I enjoy the challenge of the compliance, and then I enjoy the challenge of figuring out new things and new ideas from there.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. That's just really just wonderful. But and if you don't mind my asking, what has inspired you to become so self-actualized and focused? And is there some underlying philosophy or something? How did you learn to be this good?
Oh, I don't know about that. It's just faith. I've born and raised in the Baptist church, and not only that, but people who have been in my life, ministers, people, inspirational leaders who have been in my life to influence and encourage me, not to just be settled on doing one thing. There's a verse in the Bible is talking about, I want to do a new thing, don't you see it? And that's something that I always remember when thinking of belief in God and his ability to give you a new idea or something new to work on, and not just relying on yourself. And so those are some things that I look for, not only the faith, but inspirational people who have shaped and influenced and encouraged me to go out and just explore. And then from there, I realized that I just started thinking about creating things. I've not only different travel experiences that I've had, but translating that into creating your own ideas, your own entities, your own platforms. So you're mentally, visually creating that in your mind, and then you get to a point, if you work hard enough, you turn that into reality. You turn it into a physical, whether it's a mission, whether it's a business, whether it's ministry work, you turn that into something different from there. So.
Well, thank you for that. Again, you and I met a little over 10 minutes ago, maybe, for the first time.
Wow.
And you've just shared very, really important information about Corey Roberson, and I appreciate that. And how we met was over LinkedIn. And I was just using It was a campaign, a marketing campaign.
Okay.
And that brought us together, and we're going to accomplish great things now, which is the power that we're unlocking, that you're aware of, I'm aware of. Advisors are much less understanding of what's going on.
So this is the brand new thing. So I'm actually merging this into RIA Review. So this is going to be the product offering for other industry verticals. So the first product will be broker-dealer compliance issues. So there's obviously parallels or synergies with the broker-dealer and RIA side. And so going forward, I decided to create more solutions in that space. So that's going to be the next for that. So that's RecTech Review. And RIA Review is the scale, which I started about 2 years ago. Was it July 2016? I think we did a soft launch around August of that time. And so since then, I've been just tightening up. We're actually doing an overhaul to the UI now for that. So that's going to be coming up probably in less than a week for that. And then we're just focusing on scaling that. So we have about 130 users, free and paid, for that side. So, and then that's.
You want to show me that? You want to show me that?
Yes. So we have the calendar section here. So typically when an advisor, as you know, you've dealt with a lot of them now, they're always, okay, what do I need to do about this? What do I need to do about this? What do I need to do about this? When is this due? So you have a calendar so where you can go in and have a general overview of what's due for that particular month and who it applies to. So in this instance, we have the month of January. Well, the SEC requires an annual review of your policies and procedures. You don't necessarily have to do it in January, but here's a note to do it at the top of the year. Final statements are released. Fees are due at this certain time. Firms collect personal securities transactions. So there's reminders, general reminders of things for people to do. If you want to do an annual review, monthly review, or quarterly review, there's a template available for that so that you can break down the review of your policies and procedures, which either the SEC requires that or some states, including Florida and Washington, do require an annual review. Georgia's. So guidelines, fees, registration fees, financial fingerprints, an overview of state registration requirements, contact information, whether financials, you need to send in financials for state registered advisors.
Yeah, and can they edit their profiles here to change their registrations and stuff like that?
No, so unfortunately the regulators, they don't allow integrations into FINRA's CRD system. So I wish at a certain point, if they do allow that, it'll allow even greater functionality. So this is more of just a resource area.
But how about the RIAs? How about the RIAs?
The same thing. The RIAs use the CRD, RRD system, which are integrated. So they can't, you can't feed
data. Yeah, you can't feed data into them. Interesting.
Exactly. So we're hoping that there's the Financial Transparency Act that's coming up, but that's still on the books and it's still going to be a long ways away. That will facilitate more data sharing with entities such as the CRD system. Yeah, hopefully.
Brilliant. Keep going, please.
Yeah, so checklists. So the premise of compliance is still very old school in one degree. Transactional monitoring is on the fun side. Yeah, you have Charles River and these other robust compliance tools that are out there. But at the end of the day, you still have to produce the documentation to show that you're doing certain checks, So I have a checklist system that I use here, and it's mostly for smaller firms so that they can get a handle of what they need to do. Cybersecurity testing, that's usually periodic testing once a year or periodically once every couple of years. Fee structure, fee calculations, testing your fees, custody rule, compliance program. So just a general overview of, reviewing your firm's policies, procedures, conducting a risk assessment. I'll show you an example of this.
Now, to what extent are you collecting the data on their completion of these things?
I'm not. So this is hands off. So this is not. I'm not collecting any data.
You don't want to? You don't want to let them track their completion of these tasks?
For the smaller market, that's a very expensive. NRS and Compliance Guardian have those solutions. The problem is that I've gotten from a lot of my users is that it gets so robust and very difficult to use when you're having these systems that track all these information. So this is something to where they can put it on their own system if they want to download a form, and sometimes they want it simple and easy. And so that's the goal is for right now is to give them something simple and easy. Because I was at a client meeting and it was so difficult to use, even the tracking and all of the tools that they had on it.
But
yeah,
what you're suggesting then is there's some stuff that you don't have to have automated and that you should just track. You could grab this page that you just had, download it as a PDF or whatever, put it into your brochure as the policy of your firm, and you got it. Right? Did I have that right?
It's the policy check. It's like the documentation for a review. It's like an audit. So your policies and procedures manual, which is you'll have to have that, and that's a separate form of all your policies. So I'll show you an example. So this is so you have a review of all of the rules. So you make a rule summary in the form of a manual, and then you have to follow those procedures that you listed out. So you have to follow the procedures. So let's say you're creating a procedure for your advisor agreement, just a general overview of what you're going to do. And then you have to produce the documentation for an auditor. And so that's pretty much when you have an audit, you'll have to produce a bunch of documentation or show the systems that you have for tracking certain information. It's the smaller firms, it's more documentation and less transactional. Like, some of the larger firms, they have more of the transactional systems, and then they can feed that data into for regulators for different portions of the industry have different compliance requirements. So my area is the smaller boutique firms where it's pretty old school in some respects, in some regards, I should say. So not a lot necessary, more paperwork, less electronic, so to speak. Oh, I had that open.
And are you giving them a way to consolidate the materials somehow, or is there some, does this all translate into some other documents that they're, that they need to, disclosure forms they need to make?
So every disclosure form that you have, so there's an overview of certain disclosure forms here, agreements, code of ethics, supervision. So there's no way necessarily for them to, if they want to take all the information, they're going to have to put it together anyway for an audit. So they can take all the documentation they have and even using some of this information as well, and then putting it together into a packet, and then for an auditor.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something they would do.
Yeah, yeah. But it's easily adapted to a policy manual that they create.
Yes. You create the policy manual and then you produce a documentation to show that you're actually following what you say you are in the manual.
Yeah, and I understand your caution here. You don't want to overpromise on, or overemphasize how that's done. That's got to be proper, because that stuff is where the rubber meets the road.
Yeah, overpromise, underdeliver, or you're giving them something so robust that's so difficult to use that they won't use it. Those are all the issues that I've dealt with when building something. and dealing with the regulatory hurdles of a lack of integration with certain filing systems. It would be great if there was a way to integrate with the CRD system. That would be fantastic. That would be something I would push on a priority level.
Well, but how about in creating their brochure, their Form ADV?
So there's a template for the brochure. Yes. So there's a
there's a template for it. That's great.
Oh yeah. So have a template because compliance has that, but some of them do have that online template. But at the end of the day, it's the easier thing to do is to open it up in a Word document and just, do it. Because sometimes if you're dealing with so much tech online and there's a learning curve, and there's less learning curve with Microsoft Word or Excel.
Do you get on? I'm sorry to interrupt, but
no problem.
Do you get on the phone with these guys while they're, with the document in front of them and just work out the document?
Consulting clients, yes. So consulting clients is something to where there's always going to be a need for, not necessarily hand-holding, but there's always going to be a need for interpreting certain issues. Yeah. So compliance, it's very difficult to automate everything because there's areas that you need to interpret. So if someone already knows how to fill out a form, they already know how to fill out the brochure, they already know how to do that, then it's easier. Then they can just take the template and go from there. So for a consulting client, as additional service, yes, I would help them, depending on what price level or package they choose, I would help them through the process of updating their brochure. So the Review Center, this is a breakdown of your policies and procedures. So let's say the SEC requires a review and an annual review. So you don't want to do that annual review. You don't want to do it all at one time during the year. You can choose to do it on a monthly, quarterly, or annual basis. And so I have a review templates that advisors can use, and pretty much where I go in, look at what news and regulations are out, interpret what needs to be done, and then create a review template for that particular month. And that's something that you can print out, generate, and then you can check off for that particular month that we reviewed these certain policies. And that's pretty much, the last.
And then by the end of like a year, 12-month period, have you done everything?
By the end of the 12 months, I would have covered 36 policies, because I usually will do about 2 to 3 policies a month, depending on how many policies they have created. So yeah, I'll try to get through them all in a year. So I start off with this price that's pretty affordable and competitive. And so there's a premium service which is everything except the Review Center and the disclosure documents, which are like the brochure templates. So there's 2 services now. There's going to be a third one for RIA Review, which is going to be, so there's Premium Plus. Premium is $9.95, Premium Plus $11.95, and then I'm coming up with a premium. I'm probably going to call it Premium Hybrid, and that's probably going to be in the range of probably like $1,700-$1,800 or something like that, or is $1,895, something like that. So so right now, just two paid packages.